is up, Internet? I'm that dude Swainzilla, aka old guy with too much time on his hands, coming at you from the man cave, and this is The Reviewer. You may be shocked to hear this, but I'm actually not a legitimate film critic. Yeah, it's true. As a matter of fact, I've actually never taken a class. I've never read an article. I've never even skimmed through a pamphlet related to film education ever. But I have recently adopted sharing my thoughts about stuff on YouTube as a hobby. So why not throw in some of the movies and shows I watch? Let's talk about Nope. Nope is the third movie by director Jordan Peele. I never watched Get Out. I know, I gotta watch Get Out. Eventually I'll get to it, but I'm a busy man. I mean, it was like a special occasion that I went out and watched this. So, I did watch Us, which I thought was pretty good. So I was definitely interested in watching this. My expectations, I really fucking like Jordan Peele. Funny motherfucker. I remember hearing stories about him having to walk to the set of Mad TV. Like, I think Sasso would pick him up on the way and give him lifts to the set because he didn't drive. So as like a stoner that doesn't really drive that much, I feel like I have I can relate to Jordan Peele in a sense. Plus, I like to laugh, and I fucking love horror movies, so I feel like we might have a lot in common. So I was pretty stoked about watching Nope. I actually went to the theater to watch a movie, which I hardly ever do. So my expectations were, I was curious. No. I'll just start with the things I liked, like Jordan Peele. Like, I feel like he's a real talented director. I really like the vibe of the movie, the way it's shot, like the scale of everything, like these big massive fields, and like the sky, how the sky almost felt like, it felt like a character almost. And that leads into, like, the special effects. Like, I think they did a pretty good job. I don't know if they were limited in budget at all, but I feel like I can't imagine they were. But I feel like they did, like, it felt like they purposely did a lot with a little. You know what I mean? A lot of the times when you see the villain of the story, it's just a shadow, or it's like just a dark ring. And doing that set up a lot of like the tension of the movie. Like I definitely did feel like there was a threat, and so I did like that. It did keep me on the edge of my seat a little bit here and there. I was like intrigued throughout the whole movie what was going to happen next, even though the vibes were kind of familiar. Like I definitely was interested throughout the whole movie. I think the characters, the actors did a good job. I liked the characters. I think they were pretty diverse. I feel like you got like an arc with a lot of them. That angel dude especially, like I feel like at first I definitely thought this was gonna be like the douchebag. I feel like I said out loud, oh he's getting it first. At first, just because he kind of came off as cocky, and then I feel like maybe it was supposed to show that he was like, he was letting his guard, like he wasn't really that cocky, like as quickly as he let his guard down about the random relationship he was in or whatever, like just to these strangers that he was installing cameras for. That was pretty awkward. Like the vibe of them, I definitely got like a Jaws vibe, which is like a good thing because I think they did it pretty well. I feel like they made a Jaws movie without using a shark, which is, I liked how I feel like it was the most legitimate of like odes to Jaws, because that's kind of where it gets a little mixy for me, is that like I liked it, but it was familiar, and that maybe that's why I liked it. Like I feel like the monster, like Tremors or Jaws, or you know what I mean, even Godzilla or King Kong movies. I feel like you have this you have humans dealing with this unbeatable foe, but somehow they manage to figure it out. And then in this movie, it was kind of by accident. It was weird how the ending played out, but I'll get to that. The brother-sister relationship was kind of weird to me. Like, the actors did a great job. I feel like they did exactly what they were told to do, but I mean, they were just so positive and negative. Like, she was in your face, like, and then he was like, I think you could have shot this motherfucker in the face, and he would have just been like, huh? Like, he just showed no emotion throughout the whole movie. Which I feel like he was. I don't understand. Like, I'm not sure what that was supposed to portray. Like he was just like a strong person or something. But I mean, it seemed it didn't really. It seemed kind of strange, like how they were so different. I definitely wish they would have used my boy Glenn from The Walking Dead more. I mean, shit, half of his screen time, he was played by a child actor. I feel like he had like he definitely gave off like this. He definitely played his role. You could tell. He definitely did what he was asked to do, and it was like a quirky. Yeah, I don't know. I really can't figure out what they were trying to do with him. I wish they would have gave us a little more insight into how the whole like monkey thing factored into how it played out with that was pretty vague. I wish they would have had a little more character development with Glenn, and like the relationship with his wife was kind of weird. I would kind of like to know what was going on behind the scenes there. And the photographer's story, like, I liked the character. It was like kind of a cartoon of what it was supposed to portray. Like, I feel like he was like super standoffish, and then it didn't take much to convince him otherwise, and then he just showed up with all of his equipment, like he kind of knew what was going on, what he knew he was going to be required to have, like before he even showed up. And then I still don't understand the whole why he like randomly sacrificed himself at the end. Like, why did he feed himself to the monster? He could have laid low. He kind of just that part I don't understand. It almost makes me feel like somehow the sky thing, like the saucer, we'll call it the saucer. How the saucer like, was he fucking with, like, he hypnotized him or something? There was certain parts of that part that made me feel like, because they were, don't look at it, which I feel like is kind of a cop-out in these kind of movies. It kind of gave me like a Bird Box vibe. Like, as long as you don't look at the monster, it can't do anything to you. And like, how did they kind of figured that out on a whim. It just kind of like, he suggested it, and then they did it and it worked. Like, this thing is not a whole, it's like, I don't know. I feel like, and I'll get into that in a little bit later, but our characters were way smarter than they should have been, if you ask me. Then you got the motorcycle guy that just kind of shows up out of nowhere, and I feel like his only purpose was to provide, you know what I mean, our character with a motorcycle and like another sacrifice. I feel like they didn't. It was just like this faceless character to introduce, like in the third act, that you just kind of knew he was just dead meat. And I mean, his purpose was literally to deliver us a motorcycle. That was his whole purpose. But then they had to play him off like he was like a dick too. Like, it was pretty random. I mean, I feel like they just threw us a guy made us not give a fuck about him because he was being a dick. Like, oh yeah, 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 let's see him get. And then they just kind of gave us a kill to watch, in like a weird way. Like they just fed us an easy kill to watch. It was kind of weird. And then going into things that like kind of annoyed me, like right off the bat, like the dad dying was really strange to me. Like his cowboy hat was on, but he got hit in the eye with a coin. Like, was he looking up? Wouldn't it have to be like traveling vertically? I don't want to get into the JFK like a protruder film over here or anything, but like, and then they just kind of like, it just kind of went away. Like it happened, and it was like it kind of set the tone. Like, oh, people are gonna die. Like, you know what I mean? It kind of put you on edge as far as you didn't know who was safe or not. Because it was, you know, it was just one of those kind of psych outs. But like it didn't make sense, and then they're just like, yeah, it was just some debris from a plane. But like, and I didn't really think about this until even later on after I watched this. Like, when this thing is like spitting out the shit it's not digesting, and it's like keys and fucking coins. There's no phones. There's no wallets. There's no like, holy shit. I mean and getting into another thing too. The timeline of this. Like this thing's been hanging out for 6 months. Glenn from Walking Dead's been looking at the fucking thing. Him and his wife have been looking at the thing every day for 6 months, and it didn't do anything. How did it know that Glenn was gonna serve up half the town? Which just didn't make any sense to me how the timeline worked out. And then, I mean, and the only thing they really said about to suggest that this thing was active at all in that 6 months was there was like some radio bleep about like some missing hikers or something. But that kind of annoyed me. It didn't make any sense to me. Like, how is this thing just chilling there for 6 months? The horses are out there. Like, dude's been looking at it. The monkey story, I really have no idea how that connected. I mean, I literally feel like after they had most of the movie done, I feel like they thought, we need to put a little more horror in this. And I mean, because literally the scariest thing in the movie was the fucking monkey attack. I feel like that may have been something they added in later on. And then that way they could add some metaphor stuff or whatever. If that's, you know, I mean, that's the biggest complaint I hear, that about the monkey scene was some kind of metaphor. I don't know. I didn't get it. But if the people are put metaphors in their movies, that shit's going right over my head. I'm not paying attention to any of that. I'm looking at what's on the screen and the dialogue that is being portrayed to me in the moment. I'm not trying to think that fucking much about a movie while I'm watching it. But I digress. It is kind of strange how they left the shoe thing, which kind of made me think about, is the sky thing like able to control people? Is there like some mystic thing going on too behind the scenes that they just, was that like part of the initial idea that they kind of scrapped? Because it felt like there was some like loose ends as far as like there's a couple mystical parts outside of everything else that was going on that kind of just stuck out as like a thread of like, where was this going? Yeah, and we don't know, and that's another thing, we don't know this thing's power set. Like, we don't know, like there's a lot of questions about this thing. Like, it looked like it was fast, it would attack. I mean, they felt safe during the day though, but it clearly attacked during the day. It could chase down, like it could swallow up a whole stadium full of people, but it couldn't chase the dude down on the horse. Clearly the thing was a threat, but like, it just didn't make any sense. And then our characters just figured stuff out, like the eye thing, like looking at it, like they just kind of figured that out by accident. And then like they just seem to like know too much. Like, how in the world did they know that the thing was gonna even bother with the inflatable guy. They had already attacked that place more than once, and it left the fucking thing alone. Why did they think that letting it off into the air was going to attract this thing to attack it so they could get a picture of it? That didn't make any sense to me either. Like, they kind of figured stuff out way too fast. And that just didn't, I don't know. I mean, it is only a 2-hour movie, so I mean, there's only so much slow walking you can do stuff like that. But and back to the power set thing. Like, 1 minute this thing is just swooping around, gobbling up 40 people at a time, and doing this, that, and the other. Then for some reason, at the end, it just randomly decides to just fan out into this big ass fucking origami Mardi Gras parade balloon or something. I don't know what the fuck it was. And then do everything in slow motion. Like, what? Why did it decide to do that? What was the point? Just because dude had those reflectors on the back of his hoodie? It's just like put on this whole show before it tries to attack our characters. I don't know. But that was kind of strange. But anyway, overall, after all of that, if you put everything together, I was thoroughly entertained by the movie. I did have issues with some things here and there. I mean, it's a fucking movie. But there were a couple times I was kind of taken out of it. And that's kind of what I described in here. But overall, that's a good movie. I don't really watch movies more than once. But if like this was on at work, you know what I mean? I would watch it, I guess. I mean, I just don't watch movies like that over and over again. But like I said, I think it was directed well, shot really well. There was a lot of pretty things to look at. The actors did a hell of a job portraying the characters that they were doing. Like I said, the special effects were great. Had a couple issues with some plot stuff, and you know, I mean, I'm no fucking brainiac. I can barely put a YouTube video, so who am I to judge? Anyway, what did you think about Nope? Put it down in the comments later.